Hey everyone, welcome back to MangaMinute. I'm thrilled to share my latest recap video with you. If you missed the previous one, no worries, just take a quick peek in the description below for the link. Now, let's dive right in and enjoy.
Jinwee's expression tightened with worry as he approached Lee Cheol-soo, concern evident in every step he took. Without hesitation, he reached out and embraced Cheol-soo's body, the weight of the younger man surprising him. Lee Cheol-soo, caught off guard by the sudden closeness, felt his mind whirl as the faint scent of wildflowers drifted into his senses from Jinwee. It was a simple fragrance, yet it left an impression, gently pulling him from his thoughts and into the moment. But the realization of their proximity struck Cheol-soo hard. He stiffened, suddenly hyper-aware of the fact that he was being held by Jinwee, his senior brother. A wave of embarrassment surged through him as he quickly recoiled, his face heating in a mixture of confusion and frustration. His body tensed as he wrestled with the awkwardness of the situation, instinctively pushing back against the embrace. Jinwee's immediate reaction was one of alarm, a flustered apology spilling from him as he tried to explain himself. Yet, Cheol-soo's frustration only grew as he caught sight of Jinwee's flushed face. The uncomfortable tension between them swelled, creating a moment that neither of them quite knew how to handle. Trying to ease the tension that hung awkwardly in the air, Jinwee hurriedly offered a distraction, suggesting that he would prepare the meal and urging Lee Cheol-soo to rest. His voice carried a sense of urgency, as if hoping the shift in focus would alleviate the embarrassment of the earlier moment. But Lee Cheol-soo, still reeling from the strange interaction, was left incredulous by the suggestion. The idea of being ordered around by a junior brother struck him as absurd, even laughable. Cheol-soo's mind raced at the thought of their master witnessing such a breach in sect etiquette. He could practically hear the old man scolding now, the image of his master grabbing him by the neck and lamenting the collapse of order within the sect. The sheer absurdity of it all made Cheol-soo balk at Jinwee's offer, and he refused the suggestion, insisting that, as the youngest, it was his responsibility to take on those menial tasks from now on. Yet, Jinwee was persistent, unwilling to simply stand by and do nothing. His offer to help, though simple, carried a weight of concern. He was still worried about Cheol-soo, despite the latter's attempts to reassert the proper roles between them. Cheol-soo, finding no real grounds to continue the debate, relented. He allowed Jinwee's involvement, though the exchange left him feeling a mixture of exasperation and reluctant acceptance. The situation, though diffused, left Cheol-soo pondering how such trivial matters had spiraled into an unexpected struggle of hierarchy and care between brothers. 2 months had passed since Lee Cheol-soo began his rigorous training, and the atmosphere at the Guangdong sect's Grand Martial Training Hall was thick with intensity. John-young, the master of the sect, observed Cheol-soo with a critical eye as the young man practiced. The elder's voice cut through the hall as he shared his wisdom, addressing the true nature of martial strength. Many sought shortcuts, relying heavily on elixirs to boost their inner energy or spending endless hours honing their outer strength. But John-young, with years of experience, believed in balance, the perfect harmony of both inner and outer forces. Only then, he declared, could martial arts reach its greatest potential. Cheol-soo listened intently, his body locked in a perfect horse stance, his mind absorbing every word. John-young's final command was firm, but Cheol-soo's resolve was even firmer. He had no intention of slacking off no matter what was said. As his master turned to leave, satisfied with the progress, Cheol-soo remained steadfast, his posture unwavering. Left to his thoughts, a sly grin spread across Cheol-soo's face. He mused inwardly about his future, envisioning a superior body that would offer more than just martial prowess. The hardship of his training, the grueling hours of perfecting his technique, felt worth it for reasons beyond combat. His mind drifted toward thoughts of vitality and strength, blending the lines between martial discipline and personal satisfaction. The sensation of holding his horse stance felt especially rewarding today. The fruits of his 2 months of tireless effort were finally becoming apparent, the results akin to the satisfaction of gym enthusiasts who increase their weight load. Cheol-soo couldn't help but reflect on his past life, the cursed existence of a eunuch. No matter how much he trained back then, his body remained trapped in an androgynous state, all because of the ho-hot treasure technique he had once mastered. The memories of that time stirred his frustrations, the quack doctor who had misled him, the countless elixirs he had gathered, the environmental destruction he had caused in pursuit of a rebirth that had led him down a path of regret. But Cheol-soo's resolve was ironclad. This life would be different. He had left the shadows of his past behind. And now, with every muscle, every movement, he was determined to embrace his true potential. He would no longer be a victim of his former life. This time, he would live as the embodiment of strength and power, a man who would carve out his own destiny. As Lee Cheol-soo stood immersed in his thoughts, the sudden sound of a voice broke through his contemplation. It was Jin-wee, his senior brother, who had arrived at the training grounds. His unexpected presence caused Cheol-soo to momentarily break his focus, turning to face him with a look of surprise. Jin-wee, calm and composed, had come to fetch him, signaling that their master had finished his training for the day. The time had passed more swiftly than Cheol-soo realized, the hours slipping by in his relentless pursuit of strength. He stood there, still in his horse stance, muscles tense from the enduring effort, yet his mind raced with a hint of frustration. Cheol-soo's thoughts turned inward once again. It wasn't enough. He wanted to push himself further, to refine his physique, to mold himself into the warrior he envisioned. A man not only strong in martial prowess but embodying a vitality that extended beyond combat. Yet time seemed to move against him, always quicker than he anticipated. The day's training felt incomplete, leaving him yearning for more, for faster results. As his desire to perfect his body as a lustful warrior grew stronger with each passing moment. Despite the interruption, the hunger for improvement still burned brightly within him, a reminder that the path he walked was long and demanding. Late that night, under the cover of darkness, Lee Cheol-soo stealthily made his way to the joint mountain of the Guangdong sect. His mind was set on continuing his training, driven by a determination that refused to yield. He knew his master had laid out a strict schedule to protect his young body, but Cheol-soo felt something was lacking. If the training wasn't enough, he would make up for it in secret. In his heart, he believed that cardiovascular endurance was crucial, not just for martial arts but for maintaining his stamina in the pleasure gardens, a future he envisioned for himself. As he began his night jog, his thoughts lingered on his master's strict discipline. His greatest concern was being caught. His master would immediately forbid any additional training, citing the danger of pushing his body too far too soon. Yet, Cheol-soo couldn't afford to give up his nightly runs. To him, regular training wasn't enough to turn him into the vitality king he dreamed of becoming. Tonight's powerful run was just the beginning of his plan to surpass the limits set for him. But as he started his routine, something caught his attention. A shadow moved behind a nearby tree, and as he turned, he froze in shock. His senior brother, Jin-wee, was standing there, observing him. The shock of being discovered sent a wave of panic through Cheol-soo, and his heart raced as if all his secret efforts had just been exposed. Jin-wee's expression was stern, his tone scolding as he revealed that he had been keeping an eye on Cheol-soo's late-night activities. The senior brother had suspected something was amiss, watching as Cheol-soo sneaked out of Chongwon Pavilion night after night. Now, seeing the extra training firsthand, Jin-wee voiced his concern. He reminded Cheol-soo of their master's warning, that pushing the body beyond its limits would only bring harm. Jin-wee, unwilling to stand by and watch his junior brother overdo it, made his disapproval clear. Caught red-handed, Lee Cheol-soo cursed his bad luck. The moment of his discovery sent a wave of frustration through him. If only he had cultivated enough inner energy, he could have sensed Jin-wee's presence through ki and avoided this entire situation. Now, faced with the very real possibility that his senior brother would report him to their master, Cheol-soo's thoughts spiraled into panic. The consequences were clear. Without his night runs, his cardiovascular endurance would diminish, and worse, the vitality he so desperately sought would slip away, threatening his future prospects in ways that weighed heavily on his mind. Desperation flickered in his eyes as he quickly calculated his next move. With no other option, Cheol-soo shifted tactics, addressing Jin-wee with an air of sorrow and vulnerability. He played upon his shortcomings, painting a picture of himself as someone who, despite his relentless efforts, could never quite measure up. He contrasted his own struggles with Jin-wee's natural talent, emphasizing the gap between them, all while feigning tears to evoke sympathy. His voice trembled as he spoke of his fears. The fear of being left behind, cast out, and forgotten, wandering aimlessly without purpose or direction. The sadness in his tone was carefully constructed, and as tears welled in his eyes, Cheol-soo pressed on, using his perceived inadequacy as a shield. He appealed to Jinwee's sense of fairness, invoking the age-old saying, "The early bird catches the worm," as if to justify his relentless determination. He threw himself deeper into the act, convincing himself that he could sway his senior brother's heart. With each tear that fell, he crafted a story of desperation, hoping to win over Jinwee's sympathy and avoid the consequences of his actions. To his surprise, the reaction he received was not what he expected. Jinwee, who had always been upright and firm in his approach, softened at his words. Unknown to Cheol-soo, Jinwee was, in fact, a woman, though she had long hidden this from the rest of the world. His sorrowful confession struck something deep within Jinwee, and instinctively, he reached out to embrace him, his arms wrapping around Lee Cheol-soo in a comforting gesture. The unexpected kindness startled Cheol-soo, but he didn't dare break his act. Jinwee, moved by his apparent struggle, spoke softly, expressing his regret for not understanding his plight sooner. He reassured him, apologizing for not realizing how hard Lee Cheol-soo had been working, how deep his fears ran. The unexpected embrace caught Lee Cheol-soo completely off guard. Shock rippled through him as he found himself wrapped in the arms of his senior brother. Struggling to break free, he felt as though he had stumbled into a surreal nightmare. His mind raced with disbelief, grappling with the reality of the situation. How could this be happening? This was not the tender moment he had envisioned for his first hug. He had dreamt of saving that cherished experience for a breathtaking beauty, not the awkward embrace of a man. As he squirmed against Jinwee's grip, Cheol-soo's thoughts spiraled into despair. He lamented the loss of his dignity, feeling as if his senior brother had stolen not just a moment but 50 years of his pure heart. The embarrassment flooded over him like a wave, and frustration welled within him as he tried to push away from the unwanted embrace. Yet, as he struggled, he noticed something surprising. Jinwee's embrace felt different than he had expected. Her body was soft, and the sensation was oddly squishy against his own. In that moment of bewilderment, a flicker of realization crossed his mind, but it was quickly overwhelmed by the whirlwind of emotions crashing around him. He was trapped in a surreal moment, grappling with both the unexpected physicality of the hug and the chaotic feelings swirling within him. The embrace, which should have brought comfort, instead only amplified his confusion and frustration. How had he ended up in this position?